By the end of this video, you're going to have complete clarity on what you should do with your thrift savings plan if you either got laid off, you left the federal employment, you hit age 59 and a half, or you're going to be nearing or currently in retirement. So what this video is going to uncover is the pros and cons of leaving your money in your thrift savings plan or taking those dollars out and rolling it over into a customized IRA. I want you to understand the benefits. I want you to understand the large negatives so that you can avoid the landmines and set yourself up for a successful, confident retirement. Let's get started. So if you've recently changed jobs or you got laid off, what happens with that thrift savings plan account? Now be mindful, a thrift savings plan, you were contributing dollars as you were working for the federal government. You're making contributions into that account. The government, your employer, was putting matching dollars into that account. So it was your contributions plus the matching dollars. We're adding positives into this thrift savings plan type bucket. Based on the investments that you chose, determined whether or not that thrift savings plan would raise in value or could potentially go down in value. So the account balance of the thrift savings plan is really based on two different areas. One, how much of your contributions and your employer contributions went into the bucket. And then two, what was the rate of return that came back with the different investments that you chose? So let's say if you went into a C fund, which is going to be the common stock related fund, and the market was doing well that year, well, you were adding positives into your bucket from the contributions and the match, and then also positives from the rate of return. Now, on the contrary, if let's say you were making contributions into this bucket and then all of a sudden you were heavily invested into the C fund, the market completely crashed, well, then you're going to notice those large negatives to your buckets, equivalent to someone taking a sword and slicing your bucket. So that constant mechanism is working within your account. When we fast forward, if let's say you got laid off or you left your employment with the federal government, what happens with that thrift savings plan? Well, there's no more contributions that you're making into the account. And when you don't have any contributions, there's no match that's being placed into that account. So you're relying solely on that rate of return side. There's opportunities when somebody changes jobs, gets laid off, hits age 59 and a half, or hits their ideal retirement date, that they could utilize their thrift savings plan and roll it over into a customized IRA or multiple customized IRAs. The reason why anybody would want to do that is because it could make your retirement plan much more effective and much more efficient in the correct areas. So simply put, the three biggest mistakes that individuals make as they're nearing retirement or they're currently retired is they run into longevity risk, outliving their retirement savings. Number two is they have way too much market risk and market volatility, which can decrease their chance for retirement success. And then number three is something known as tax risk. So when you're just leaving your money in the thrift savings plan and you're no longer working there, well, then you're relying on a rate of return that's based on limited investment options. When you're eligible, and that's the key word, if you're working and let's say you have not hit an age-based in-service withdrawal qualification, so you're working there, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, you're still working for the federal government, you cannot just take the thrift savings plan out, remove it, and try to roll it over and try to customize it. But when you hit qualification periods such as getting laid off, changing jobs, hitting age 59 and a half, this now allows you to take your dollars and customize it so that you can eliminate these three main risks. So I'm going to go over these three main risks in detail and where it makes sense to leave the dollars in the thrift savings plan or to roll it over and then customize, and how that customization can eliminate these specific risks one by one by one. So I'm going to use examples as well so you could see real life scenarios that have happened with clients or individuals where they might have shot themselves in the foot. So this is for the individual that's worried about outliving their retirement savings. So they were working for the federal government. They understand that they were accumulating dollars into the thrift savings plan, and then they got laid off, hit that, age 59 and a half, or just ended up changing employers altogether. So now they have access to the thrift savings plan. If they just left their thrift savings plan alone, that's an accumulation strategy. With accumulation strategies, you're just trying to grow and get a decent rate of return on your accounts. But that does not solve the problem with having to use this for an eventual withdrawal distribution strategy. So when someone starts nearing that retirement, it's wise to remove a lot of that risk that you would have with an accumulation strategy, and then you start putting protections in place to produce income, a preservation and distribution strategy. So it could be income that you're going to generate from this thrift savings plan that you could never outlive what those dollars are. So be mindful that a thrift savings plan, there's really two main uses with this. One is for income. When you become a certain age, you're going to be using this account to produce some sort of income. And then the other is you want to leave some sort of legacy. So if you're not using it up for income, well, then you want to use this bucket for an inheritance maximization anyway. So it's going to be one of those two main ways. So for the individual that's interested in saying, hey, I've accumulated this thrift savings plan account, I want to use the dollars for income and I want to maximize out what that income is. So many times individuals will see online, they'll read publications, they'll hear something known as the 4% rule, where it says, as long as I leave my money in the market into some sort of investments, I should be able to peel off 4% comfortably. And if I'm retiring in my 60s, there's X amount of probability that I'm not going to outlive my retirement savings. If you think of any sort of financial account as an individual tool in a tool belt, you have to shift your mindset to say, what's the most effective and efficient tool that I can use that will get me to my destination the easiest, most successful way? So when somebody's using the 4% rule as an example, that's an investment and accumulation strategy that they're also trying to peel withdrawal. So they're trying to do a jack of all trades type strategy. Give me a little bit of growth, give me a little bit of income, and hopefully everything should balance itself out. I bring that up because there's ways on how you could roll over a portion of your thrift savings plan, put it into a customized IRA that has a lifetime income rider attached to it that will therefore produce the income that you need to cover up your gap. So if I use a generic example, let's say that somebody is age 60 and they want to retire at age 65. They understand at age 65 is when they're going to be triggering, let's say, Social Security income. So maybe Social Security income is going to generate them an extra $30,000 per year. Maybe they've given X amount of years of service to the federal government where they're also going to be receiving $20,000 of a pension. So we have the $30,000 from the Social Security income. We have the $20,000 from the pension. So together they're going to be collecting at age 65, $50,000 of income. If let's say after figuring out what their budgeting analysis is, they realize that at age 65, they actually need $70,000 of income to cover their expenses, to really live their retirement without financial stress, without deathbed regrets, and just live every day with that confidence. Well, in that example, let's say that person had $500,000 accumulated. If they leverage all that money still in the market and they were trying to utilize the 4% rule, that 4% rule would in theory cover that $20,000 gap, but there's still a risk there. And when I'm saying worried about outliving your retirement savings, the reason why this is advantageous for you to take the dollars and roll it over into a customized IRA is instead of leveraging the small 4% rule that's still a question mark, you could leverage the customized IRA that could be giving you double, sometimes triple the lifetime income cash flow that you would be receiving from the 4% rule. So in that example, instead of utilizing $500,000 to one type of strategy, you might be able to leverage $200,000 from the thrift savings plan, roll that over into a customized IRA that's going to trigger you $20,000 of lifetime income. So out of your $500,000, you leverage $200,000 into the specific IRA that generated you that $20,000 of income. So the $20,000 of your IRA income plus the $20,000 of your pension plus the $30,000 of your Social Security income, that's $70,000. That $70,000 is equaling the $70,000 expense gap. Oh, and what happened was you are now able to invest that $300,000 that you did not have to use up. You could leave that in your thrift savings plan. So all you're doing is you're peeling off the smallest amount of dollars and only as much as necessary and backing up into the math to find out what is the best IRA that will produce you that lifetime income need. You're using that efficient tool, and that's an income-related tool. Now, on the contrary, if let's say your pension income and your Social Security income, if that's greater than or equal to your expenses, well, then you should not be peeling off a portion of your thrift savings plan and placing that into an income-related IRA, because there's no need for that income-related IRA. Now you could leave your monies untouched either in the thrift savings plan or try to grow those dollars better, but you're not using an income-related account or an income-related tool for a growth-related need, just like you don't want to be using a growth-related tool for an income-related need. So to recap, in that example of somebody had a $500,000 thrift savings plan, they transferred or rolled over $200,000 into a customized income-related IRA. Well, now they had $300,000 left over that they're utilizing for some sort of growth, some sort of flexibility. So now let's say they want to take an extra trip. They understand that income-related IRA is generating them the necessary cash flow to close up that gap. But then as they're going throughout retirement, they want to utilize that excess $300,000. Well, that's fantastic, because now, okay, I want to take an extra trip. Let me take a withdrawal from this thrift savings plan for an extra, 10 grand or whatever that is. Or, emergency need occurred where I need to peel off some dollars. Well, now you have this excess account that's sitting there that's meant to not really be touched. So it's allowed to grow with the power of compound interest. The problem is individuals try to use the growth-related strategy, the accumulation strategy towards an income need, and it could completely blow up in their face, wasting thousands of dollars in the process. So that takes care of mistake number one. Mistake number two is having way too much market risk, not understanding that there should be a shift made from a wealth accumulation to a wealth preservation and distribution related strategy. So for individuals that, let's say, are more risk averse, and they're like, okay, I'm no longer contributing to my thrift savings plan, so that anytime that the market, has a hiccup, those contributions are not offsetting what those losses are. I now have to rely solely on the rate of return side. So this is where, when somebody's eligible to roll their money out of the thrift savings plan, if they do not like the limitations with their 20 to 30 different eggs within their savings plan bucket, and they say, hey, I want to have better customization and protect my money better and make sure it's diversified better, this is where, by rolling the monies out of their savings plan, they can have it in an IRA and now have those IRAs set up for some sort of investment or growth strategy. So instead of just saying, okay, I want to have safety with the thrift savings plan, they might just only have the G fund as their safe haven, or the bond related fund within their thrift savings plan. When you go and you roll it out to an IRA, now you have thousands of different customization options. So you can have things that are very low cost, very high quality, and it could be diversified better to somebody's risk capacity and their risk score, as opposed to just being handcuffed to those funds. So please understand that when somebody's trying to set this up for market risk protection, that's a different type of IRA than the one that would be set up for a max income need. So the really good thing about IRAs is that you could customize it into thousands of different combinations. One that's set up for max capacity on a growth side, one that's set up for max capacity on a protected growth side. So something that grows when the market goes up, doesn't lose when it goes down, but it's not going to gain as high as when you leverage it into, investment related accounts. You have other ones that are set aside for max income. So basically it's all based on somebody's risk profile, what their current situation is, how long they have out from retirement, and then backing up into the math into these little areas. And that's where we help out. Is an individual could either be a do-it-yourselfer and try to figure out all the math, all the components, what's the best possible route to go, or they could take advantage of our free connection calls whenever somebody's leveraging this video or watching this video. So they just simply call the 1-800 number, 1-800-566-1002, reference this video and say, hey, I'm a little bit confused. I want to have more clarity on my situation. Am I set up for the correct trajectory? Am I going to have a successful retirement? Or should I utilize your services to get me on a better path, create a roadmap for me, and make sure that I'm eliminating that financial stress and ultimately eliminating my deathbed regrets, so that when I hit my ideal retirement date, I'm able to just live and to know that all these other areas are covered in the most effective and efficient way. So this takes care of mistake number 2, protect yourself from market volatility. Now, mistake number 3 is tax-related risk. And this is probably the largest detriment when individuals hit retirement that they do not account for. Because when they were working, they were probably placing their monies into pre-tax qualified traditional thrift savings plan accounts, and they were getting a tax deduction as they were placing the dollars in there, a gross tax deferred. But when it comes time to start utilizing those dollars in the form of withdrawals, Now those dollars are going to be fully taxed. So when you're peeling monies off of your thrift savings plan, that's going to add to your modified adjusted gross income. Your pension income is going to add to your modified adjusted gross income. If, let's say, the combination of those two are above a specific threshold, then your Social Security can be taxed up to 85% of your Social Security benefit can be taxed as per your effective tax rate. So there's a trickle-down effect when you hoard too many dollars into qualified pre-tax retirement accounts and how that could bite you in the butt when it comes time for your actual retirement income-related need. So when you have these buckets sitting there, if they're savings plan, now you're eligible because you got laid off, you ended up, severing employment, going to a different employer, or you're still working for the federal government, but you hit age 59 and a half, you could take advantage of this, peel off portions, create a tax-free strategy that will come into play when you need the dollars the most. When you, in that example, you hit age 65. So instead of taking monies from a qualified retirement account, you could be taking it from Roth-related or tax-free related accounts. So that's not going to impact your modified adjusted gross income, which therefore will not impact the taxes on your Social Security income. And then lastly, there's this, if you're peeling off too much money, you're making too much money in retirement, and you start collecting Medicare, there's something known as an IRMA surcharge, which is an additional surcharge. And think of it, essentially it's a tax on your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums. So by having your tax savings and taking advantage of your current scenario, you can make sure that you're creating these incremental tax-free conversions to make sure that's putting you in a much better mathematical position by the time that you want to hit that retirement stage. And that's something that, once again, what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal of this entire video is to say, does it make sense to leave my thrift savings plan where it is, or remove the dollars and do a rollover, so you're transferring those dollars to like terms, and then customize those areas so that it's going to give you that peace of mind, that stress-free retirement that you can live every day without financial stress, without deathbed regrets. So like I mentioned, this is where we help out individuals on a national basis get pure clarity on their current situation, whether or not they should still be staying on their current trajectory, because if it's not broke, you don't fix it. But if you want to have that professional opinion and to get a free consultation so that you're not paying anything to talk to us, we're basically having that nice conversation to figure out whether there's some value that we can provide for you, that's where I would recommend to call the 1-800 number. It's 1-800-566-1002. You can schedule a call. You just reference this video. You can ask to speak to myself. I'm Derek Afasi, or speak to one of the other advisors that help out in the Thrift Savings Plan department, and we'll make sure to get you set up the right way. The second option would be to click on the Calendly link, which is embedded in the description of this video. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel. This is TSP University. You can also subscribe to our channel, our parent company, which is Retire Sharp, to make sure that you have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.